Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Climate Change and Energy. Professor Andrew Whittaker told the Nuclear Energy Select Committee, quote, "I firmly believe that nuclear power should be part of the energy mix in Australia. Energy security is national security. Being part of a global nuclear supply chain would benefit all Australians. Why is Labor dismissing world experts in pursuit of a renewables-only policy that is putting our nation's energy security at risk?"
Give a call to the Minister for Climate Change and the Minister for Energy.
Well, thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I thank the honourable member for his question, and I thank him for raising the evidence that's been provided to the committee that's being chaired by the member for Hunter. Yes. Because now that the member for Flynn has opened that question, it gives me an opportunity to talk about the evidence that the member for Hunter and his colleagues have been hearing, Mr Speaker. Like the evidence from Ontario, which the Shadow Minister has referred to, which is their poster child for nuclear, as the province where they say that's the best practice for nuclear. And we've heard evidence from the professor from the University of Ontario, who has pointed out that that policy has bankrupted the hydro company of Ontario and seen their prices skyrocket compared to the provinces next door. That, for example, people in Ontario pay more for energy than the people of Quebec next door, when Quebec relies a lot more on renewable hydro, Mr Speaker. That is the evidence that the committee chaired by the member for Hunter has heard, Mr Speaker. The member for Fairfax knows it because he sits on that committee. He sits on that committee, Mr Speaker, so he's heard all the evidence. He's also heard the evidence from Professor Bill Grace from the University of Western Australia, who's pointed out that the only way to make nuclear power work in Australia is to switch off cheap renewable energy, to stop exporting electricity from your rooftop solar system, forget feed-in tariffs. The system has to call on baseload nuclear power first, or the plan makes no sense whatsoever. So, Mr Speaker, what Professor Grace is pointing out is that all those Australians who've invested in solar, rooftop solar, will have their feed-in tariffs cut and they will be curtailed to make way for nuclear power, Mr Speaker. That's the evidence that's been heard before the committee. We've also heard from Sunshine Hydro that the AP1000 nuclear reactors, which is the preferred model of the member for Fairfax, even if it's running at 15%, will turn off 75,000 solar rooftops across Australia, Mr Speaker. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, I was present at the installation of Australia's 4 millionth solar installation, rooftop solar, 4 millionth installation. These are Australians who have invested in rooftop solar. The member for Hinkler has pointed out, and Senator Canavan have pointed out, that they support curtailing solar. They support rooftop solar being turned off to make room for nuclear energy. So if we're going to have a discussion about the evidence that's been heard by this committee, we're up for that discussion, and I'm up to debate the member for Fairfax. Q&A suggested a debate. He said no. 730 report has suggested a debate. I've said yes. I await the answer of the member for Fairfax.